Now, we're moving on to experiences available for virtual reality. And this is our final slide for me. So, as you can see, I've got 4 experiences that can be experienced in the uses of virtual reality. Well, the first one I'm going to start with is the RAF Flight and Ground Unit Training. The reason I'm starting at the bottom is because this is my passion. The RAF and Army and Navy are starting to use or have been using VR for years. This has helped with training, missions and teaching. All 3 military services are using VR technology to keep everyone safe. They are also using it for use of flying new aircraft, so that there's no human in it. The reason I started with this one is because you can't find much about virtual reality, the RAF and the military services using virtual reality. This is probably because they don't want you to know what they're doing with it, because it's sensitive. They're also using VR to train troops for battle, war, if anything happens like that. This then coincides with flight training. I'll talk about that one. Flight simulations. Now, flight simulations are growing. The new Microsoft Flight Sim has enabled us to use virtual reality when we're flying an aircraft. This lets us feel that we are actually flying the aircraft itself rather than seeing it through a computer screen. This is also one of the ways that new pilots are trained with people like BA, Virgin, all massive airlines. This is enabling them to get the most experience of what it's going to be like flying a massive aircraft like this. This is a massive leap in technology, which is brilliant, because it means that people get a better feeling of how something's going to work. If something happens during a test flight, they can experience what could go wrong, what might go wrong, or a full successful flight. Now we move on to the next part that is attached to the RAF flight simulations. It's air crash investigation training. Now, these people are there when an aeroplane crashes. This is a rare occurrence, I might add. It's not very often that this happens. So VR is starting to be used in this area so that it can aid trainees to pinpoint certain bits that might go wrong. For example, says something was missing on the back at the tail of the aircraft. The trainee could go, well, something's wrong with that's gone. And they can put a flag to indicate that something's supposed to be there but it's not. It also enables them to view a certain situation around them. Now, we do use this in our training for our air crash investigators. especially as they can aid the quickness of how something happened. They can get a better picture of how it happened while it was when it happened. They can see if they can determine what happened, what broke, what fell off, what, you name it, they can pick it out. Now, in the UK, we also use an aircraft from a very long time ago called the Lockerbie Air Crash. Now, we use that aircraft for training due to what happened to it. I do recommend you go and watch it because it's an eye-opener and it's very interesting to watch. Now, moving on to real life situations. Now, these were the most common, well, the only things to come out of VR when we as consumers first had got wind of it. Now, when VR first came out, there weren't many games for it. There wasn't the infrastructure we have now. So back then, it would have been only available on PC, which meant that there was loads of wires connecting it to, connecting the headset, the headphones. The controllers would have been wireless, I think, so that the user can move around. One of the most common ones that there are was the shark cage. This allowed users to sit in stand in a virtual cage with a shark swimming around them. I must admit they're brave because I wouldn't do it. That would swim around them, have a nudge of the cage, and they would jolt back. People would react to that reaction from the shark. The other one is roller coasters. Now, as well with the pandemic, I read somewhere, I can't remember where it was now, but more people were using YouTube and their VR headsets to recreate them being on a train, on a roller coaster. Now, that would, on any scale, would look amazing, because it would actually look like, with the headset on, you actually sat in the carriage speeding around a roller coaster. Very weird, but that one, I must admit, isn't for the faint-hearted. Now, moving on to the cinemas. Now, some of you may have heard this, some of you may not have, but two massive worldwide cinemas, also known as IMAX and the Odeon, went into an agreement in 2016, or made up a plan to produce virtual reality cinemas. It was successful. It gave visitors the ability to watch films and experience films in virtual reality, like the actor was actually seeing, they were actually seeing what the actor was seeing when he was doing that action. That, and it also gave a sense that you're actually sat watching him do it. that would have been that is a massive leap in technology if it was fully successful. Which it was, but like everything, due to funds, towards the end of 2018, IMAX and Odeon had to pull out of this deal and demolish the use of virtual reality cinemas. This is due to the cost of everything to maintain, run, publish, produce all this technology, and all the films and everything like that was costing way too much money. So sadly they had to eradicate that idea. That would have been excellent if it was fully successful, because I think I would have gone personally. Right, the next slide is all the references to where I got my information from throughout this presentation. As you can see here, this is where I got all my information from. The one at the bottom is for the image on the first slide. That image is from the stock images, so no link was available, so I used that as my reference. Now here is the entire list of my references. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed.